What is going on, guys? Will Sony be updating the Sony A1 and the Sony A7SIII? I think so, and here's why. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Customer here, and today I want to talk about the possibility of Sony bringing some of the newer features that they have been rolling out on some of the other Sony cameras, such as Sony FX6 FX3, and the ZVE1. Now, I have in my hand the Sony A1, and I'm about to update the firmware, which is version 1.32. And it reads from the website, Sony has fixed issues where the camera may not start when the mode dial is set to movie and the NTSC pulse selector is set to PAL. It also improves the operational stability of the camera. Not a big deal, it just fixes a little bug that the camera had. But this is an indication that they are continuing to improve the experience of this camera. Now, the reason why I think that we have not seen yet a firmware for the Sony A7 III, there you go, or the Sony A1 is because Sony has been very focused on the ZV line. And we have seen that. Sony has launched so many cameras since the Sony A1 has been released. The ZVE1 being one of the latest cameras with a lot of great features that we hope to see in these two cameras. Now, I think we're gonna get some of the features in these two bodies, the Sony A7SIII and the A1, but we're not gonna get all the vlogging features that we have seen in the Sony ZVE1, which is the latest one. And for that sole reason, that Sony's gonna wanna keep some of those features, particularly for that audience that need those. In my opinion, some of them, they are gimmicky, but we have seen also some improvements in the Sony FX6, Sony also released a new firmware for the Sony FX6 that addresses a lot of the great features. I believe that one is touch to focus that, had the FX6, something that I didn't have 3 years ago when I got the camera. And they're gonna bring some of the most substantial features to this camera. The one that I wanna have in the Sony A1 is focus breathing compensation. And one of the reasons why I'm not seeing a lot of time with this camera, since I now have it enabled in the Sony FX3, in the Sony ZVE1, of course, and in my Sony A7 IV. Having focus breathing compensation, it's a huge one, and it is a shame that we still don't have it in the Sony A7S III. So Sony is listening to our prayers, and they do act upon customer reaction, customer feedback. So I think it's gonna take a little bit longer. And now that the Sony ZVE1 has been launched, it is safe to say that perhaps the team is focusing on bringing some of those technologies that they have developed for the Sony ZVE1 and start working on those improvements in this camera. Now, the other reason is that I think that we have not seen those features here because Sony perhaps, is using the ZV platform as a test trial for those new features. And once they are proven to work there, they figured out how they can incorporate it to this much more expensive camera. So don't lose your hopes. Let me know which feature you want to see in your Sony A7S III and A1 in those firmware updates. This one is going to be a super quick one, guys. Just wanted to mention that in case you didn't know. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.